Well, we're a few months into Warzone 2 and here I am making this video. Before I get too dramatic, I just want to point out that I know, nobody cares. I've been at this alone and doing what I could to cover the game in a way that I enjoyed. And now that there's nothing more for me to enjoy with the game, it's time to give it a final send-off until Sledgehammer takes over this year. I have no hope that Infinity Ward will turn things around by Season 3, but I could be wrong. And I do hope that I am wrong and we get the changes many of us want. So I could be playing this or other games, which I have been, such as Apex Legends, even though I've kind of sworn off that game. But funny enough, I did revisit it recently, and well, it's the same kind of experience as before. Outside of me being rusty, the game servers aren't that great, and the few times I grouped up with randoms on the Discord server, I was still getting the same kind of people, those who would play once or twice, then quietly bail. The arcade modes have been fun though. Anyways, back on to Warzone 2. Part of me wants to rant on for an hour about everything that's wrong with this game, but I'm not going to do that. It's repetitive, it's boring, and to some it can be annoying to hear the same feedback over and over. Instead, I'll put on the screen some of my Twitter posts of what I think about the game, and probably throw in a few here and there from others who have similar concerns. The only thing I'll say about the gameplay is that the difference between Modern Warfare 2019 and Warzone 1 versus Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 is the same as going from a Formula 1 car to a Honda Civic. Sure, it can get the job done, but you're not going to have the same acceleration, the car's not going to turn as well, and so on. It's not to say Warzone and Modern Warfare 2 have to have the exact same mechanics, but the difference between these two are just way too drastic. We can talk about how divisive the latest Call of Duty is and how it's splitting the audience. However, there's a continuation of backlash from the community that hasn't stopped since the game. It's kind of been the opposite, where instead creators who were once positive about the game, if they ever were, have slowly changed their tune, saying that the game is not addressing their major concerns. So then what am I going to talk about in this video if I'm not going to directly talk about the issues with the gameplay? Well, I'm going to talk about the mentality I see from others online when it comes to this game, addressing the issues at hand so that more of the community can both tolerate each other a little more, and understand that there is a solution that benefits everyone, starting off with change. If there's one thing that's been a constant criticism of the Call of Duty franchise, is that they don't really change things. But from the last 3.5 years of playing this game, I can say it's far from the truth. If there's one thing Call of Duty series is notorious for, it's not learning from their own mistakes and changing things no one asked for. Why do we have to wait months for a rake mode to be in the game? Why hasn't the newest DLC weapon been tested to see if it's overpowered or broken? And why do we need fire ammo in a shotgun? There's a lot of game design decisions, especially in Modern Warfare 2, that are backwards to what the developers claimed they wanted to do. Modern Warfare 2 launched with a time perk system so you get your perks gradually while you play the game. The developers at Infinity Ward claim that they want to cater to every playstyle. The problem is, playstyles rely on certain perks such as Cold-Blooded and Ghost. It's a combination that I've run almost exclusively. Well, it just so happens, both of those perks are on a timer, so up until Season 2, from the release of the game until now, I had to go half the match without those two perks that are essential to my playstyle. On top of this, it seems to be a game decision that even if you're using a weapon with a suppressor, it will still disable your Ghost perk and put you back on the minimap. So even with the adjustments they made to get my main perk faster, one of them is basically useless because of it, which completely ruins my playstyle. I'm perfectly fine with changes being made to better the game and the overall experience, not make it worse or alienate an entire section of the community. Look at any other battle royale that's out there right now. If you were to play PUBG, it would still play very close to what it was at launch. Same with Apex Legends and Hunt Showdown. If you were a good player at the start of any of these games, you would still be just as good today. Sure, there may be new characters, new maps and weapons, but the base gameplay was still identical to what it was at launch. In Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2, that's not exactly the case. Just running around in the game feels slow, aimed-out side times feel like they take an eternity, there's a ton of visual recoil, and there's no running away from a gunfight. The total player health in Warzone with plates is back down to 250 when it was at 300, we don't have a sniper rifle that can one-shot headshot, and so on. To be perfectly clear, I don't want slide cancelling to come back. I've gotten this far in the video without even mentioning it. I'm fine with it being removed. But if the point was to make movement slower, then why was the health dropped back down? So players could die faster and feel more helpless during gunfights? Again, it goes back to gameplay decisions that contradict whatever the original goal was. These tone-deaf changes don't help anyone. They are changes that are done to completely nullify one type of playstyle while providing zero substitutes, which makes the game one-dimensional and forces everyone to play the game more or less the same way. I'm just tired of dealing with these changes that make no sense. I'm fine with Warzone 2 being a little slower and not having a slide cancel. But right now, the movement is too slow, and sliding is entirely useless since you can't even hip fire during the slide. Moving on to the arguments that casuals make, I have to pose a question. Why do any of these changes matter to you? If skill-based matchmaking truly works to your favor, then why do you care about advanced game mechanics? Do you think you suddenly became a better player just because the game made it easier to get kills? Even if these advanced mechanics are in the game, you shouldn't really be seeing anyone use them in your games. Sure, you may end up in an occasional match where someone reverse boosted or VPN'd into your lobby, but that problem isn't with the game mechanics as it is the matchmaking system itself. So why not go after that instead of ruining everyone else's experience? Or are you that self-centered that the entire game has to be tailor-made to your playstyle? I run Ghost and Cold-Blooded. The last thing I want to do is die to constant kill streaks, which I feel is something that would benefit casual gamers as well. And I can't even do that with the way this game works. I'm glad you all are having fun. I really am. I just don't understand why some advanced mechanics that takes 10 seconds to learn is such a big deal to you. If you want to play games that reward slower movement, well, play games that are designed specifically with that slower movement. Games like Insurgency Sandstorm, Ready or Not, Ghost Recon for a co-op experience, or even Squad. There are already other games out there that reward cautious and slow gameplay. I don't see how you can think Call of Duty, an arcade shooter, should slow down its gameplay that severely. I know there's a big gap in slower tactical games on console, but converting the core gameplay of COD to be this slow just doesn't make any sense. Again, with matchmaking, it shouldn't be a problem more times than not, and there are also other game modes where you can roleplay and be coordinated with some Spec Ops missions, and the DMC mode for occasional PvP. When I tried playing on the hardcore playlist, everyone was playing slow anyways, so you can play there as well. Now this isn't an issue of me trying to gatekeep, this is Call of Duty for crying out loud, a game where you can spawn in with a full auto shotgun, a riot shield, and 2 claymores. I'm not really asking for that to be removed. I'll make fun of you for playing that way, but you can go ahead and do so. The problem is, we don't really have a way to counter that kind of playstyle right now. The answer to counter that is by using grenades and explosives. However, all of that is countered with a trophy system. Because the time to kill is quick, with movement and ADS being slowed down, standing still ends up winning more gunfights than moving, which is something Call of Duty should not really be known for. Both standing or moving in gunfights would have their own advantages and disadvantages, and you should get kills with both of them. But due to how fast the time to kill is and how slow the weapons handle, the person moving is not going to win a lot of those fights. At the end of the day, Call of Duty is just too large a game where everyone can be happy if it played one way. And if you looked at any other large game like Overwatch, Apex Legends, and so on, you'll see a lot of players wanting different gameplay decisions. The developers can't make a gaming experience that tailors to everyone. But you know what they can do? Create separate playlists and settings that brings the game closer to what different portions of the community wants. Create a playlist that bans shotguns and landmines. Create a playlist that is shotguns and snipers. Create a playlist that emulates movement mechanics from previous Boots on the Ground CODs. Now, what about just hosting private lobbies with the rules you want to play? Well, first, there isn't a server browser in the game, so you won't find those lobbies just anywhere. Secondly, you're hoping to get connected to a decent server that would host the game. Private lobbies only help a very small and dedicated side of the community, emphasis on small and dedicated. But to say that the only way we can experience the game the way a lot of us want to is by huddling together in private lobbies that are known for having players crash out of the game, as well as gaining zero progress towards battle passes, weapon leveling, or any other kind of leveling in the game, how is that fair? It's fine if you want the game to play differently, I don't care which side you're on. But for the development team to completely ignore a large chunk of their audience is a slap to the face of modern game design. Fortnite is sadly one of the better examples of providing different gameplay experiences. First, people got tired of speed building, so Fortnite included a no-build mode, and now there's rumors that Fortnite will also have a first-person only mode. On top of all that, all the tools and game modes that can now be made with Fortnite's new Creative 2.0. Even going as far as rewarding the community for creating these new experiences that end up generating a lot of traffic. Rewarding the community. That's something Activision needs to figure out how to do. Outside of inviting them to private events, ask for feedback, and then do absolutely nothing with it. So my final message to casuals, at least for this video, is that when the tables are turned yet again, and trust me, they will be eventually, what will you do? If you got this far in the video and enjoyed this discussion, please leave a like and consider subscribing. What do you think about the future of this franchise and where do you want it to go? Let me know in the comments below. Until then, I'm Mr. Rain and I will see you next time.